Hey, what's up YouTube? It's the Basement Mauler. I'm not playing hooky. You don't have to be in to work till later on today, so I figured I'll spend the morning catching up on a bunch of videos, and that's what I've been doing. And after watching them, I said to myself, you know what, let me put a little bit of a waffle out. It's going to be a little bit different than what others have been hearing about this subject, okay? But I'm going to talk about rivet counting, all right? So before anyone goes out there and starts, oh, we're going to talk about rivet counting again, oh, another discussion about rivet counting, hear me out first, okay? I am going to go on the other end of that discussion, and I'm going to say that the hobby world needs rivet counters, all right? So what does that mean? To me, the rivet counters play a huge important part of our hobby, all right? Now, before everyone gets into an uproar and says, what the hell you're talking about? You must be a rivet counter too. No, listen guys, I'm not a rivet counter. I don't have the time to be researching some of the stuff that a lot of these rivet counters do. But let me explain to you why I say what I say. Okay, so I'm going to go back into time, right? And I'm going to share with you my first encounter with rivet counting. All right, and it must have been about 20 years ago. I was at a model club meeting. I had brought with me the monogram BSG Big G. All right, and you know what? I was ecstatic about having it, and I'm showing it off to everyone, and I'm going over it, and it's like, oh, check this out. It's the Galactica, and you know, it looks awesome, and I can't wait till I'm done with it. It's going to look just like the TV show, studio model. Then one of the guys there says, hey, why don't you talk to this guy over there? He's a rivet counter. My first response was like, what? I've never heard that term before. So I'm kind of like, wait a second, dude. There's no damn rivets on this model, so I don't know what you're talking about. So, we had a little talk about it, and it's basically the way it was told to me at that time. A rivet counter is someone that you would consider to be an expert in a specific subject matter, okay? So in this particular case, this rivet counter apparently had some friends that were up on the West Coast in the early 80s, and they actually worked at the studio, or at the production studio for ABC, I think it was. So, this cat was able to get a ton of pictures. He knew what were all I believe it was 288 scale little, tanks that were on the side of the engines and whatnot. So as I'm talking to him, very nice guy, he just starts, throwing it out there. He said, yeah, you know what? If you do this, it'll look more like the studio scale model, or, it didn't have this. If you put some detail here, if you remove that detail there. And so, we had a good, half-hour talk about it, and he's just giving me advice, and you know what? He was giving me insight into a model of a subject that I loved, or still love, right? Now, the first thing after that discussion wasn't, hey, you know what, dude? I'll build this model however the hell I want. It's my model. Don't worry about it. That wasn't my first reaction. Okay, my first reaction truly was, man, this cat knows what he's talking about. He has a passion, okay, for this subject matter. All right, so I took what he told me. Some of the stuff I wasn't able to do because my skill set wasn't at that level. But again, I took the insight, all right? It was things that I didn't know before talking to him. And that was my first experience with rivet counting, all right? Now, let's push forward several years, all right? Trumpeter, many years ago, came out with a 1/32 scale F4F Wildcat. And I'm not sure if you guys remember, but it was a big buzz when they first announced it. Everyone was like ecstatic about it coming out. It was a new tool, Wildcat. The only other 1/32 scale Wildcat that was out, and I think it still is, was the old Revell kit. Now, not a bad model, so I'm not dogging that model. I'm not saying it was crap. okay, but the tooling was old, okay. I've seen a lot of great models come out from that kit, but I've also seen a lot of conversion work that's been put into it, you know. In fact, Mike Ashley, I think is this guy's name, he actually put out some books, and he had his 1/32 scale Wildcat. The guy did a lot of scratch building to it. It came out awesome. But to go back to the point, okay, so they came out with this kit. Everyone was happy about it, right? It's the first new tool, 1/32 scale Wildcat that's come out in several decades. So this kit comes out, and all the reviews were pretty positive. You know, there was some people that griped about the rivets. Isn't that ironic? But the biggest thing that came out of it was apparently the cowling dimensions were off. Okay, and some people were okay with it. I remember some of the reviews stating that, you know what, it is off, but it still looks like a Wildcat. All right. Then there were other folks that were putting it against the scale plans and looking and said, look, it's way off. Now, one of the things that they brought up was, if we as maulers have access to scale plans and can figure out that a kit is off, why wouldn't Trumpeter be able to do the same thing? And I'm not saying there was an uproar and people were protesting, but you know what? You know, there was a lot of feedback going back to Trumpeter saying, hey, you know what, this is off, and if you want us to dump, you know, the 40, 50 bucks for a kit, at least make it right, not because you don't have access to the scale plans, because everyone does, but put it out there because that's what we want. So this had gone on for, you know, for a couple months in all the forums and whatnot. Lo and behold, Trumpeter retooled the kit and tried to fix what they did wrong. So I think that was the first time for me that I've seen a kit manufacturer acknowledge that they've done something wrong and made it a solid attempt to correct it. So they fixed it, it came out, most of the people were happy with it, but if you take a look at that process, what drove the improvement was rivet count. You know, I'll give you another example. If you want to take model cars, all right, there's a lot of folks that build model cars far above the other scale models, of course, right? But let's say, you know, let's take a person A, right, John Doe, all right. So he goes out and he buys a Revell 1970 Chevelle, SS 396, right? So buys a car kit, opens it up, loves it. Oh, this is awesome. Paints it, puts it off, does the works on it. It's awesome. When he's done with it, he's happy with it, puts it on a display case, and he's done with it. All right. Now take, Paul Doe. All right. He actually has a passion for that Chevelle. His father owned one, and he was able to buy one and restore it. So he's buying this kit because he's saying, look, I'm going to make this kit an exact duplicate replica of my real car. So he takes all the stuff out. He starts comparing all the parts. And lo and behold, he looks at the engine. And he's saying, hey, wait a second. These valve covers don't look right. So all of a sudden he starts going through the decals, and he sees the decal for the air cleaner cover says SS 396, but he knows that these valve covers are off. So now he takes this piece and he goes out into his garage, all right, and he starts comparing the two, and he starts saying, hey, you know what? This is off. Not just from the covers, from the valve covers, but also the headers are not correct. The distributor cap shouldn't be here on the model. It needs to be here. Okay. Now, some people may say, well, does it really matter? Well, again, if you have a passion for that subject matter that you're building, then yes, it does matter. Okay. And I've seen a lot of people that would do the same thing and don't necessarily think of it as rivet counting, but that's exactly what it is. So he's going to take this and he's going to, you know, do some conversion work, or may create his own headers out of, you know, piping or solder or whatever. Okay. What's driving that is that he has a passion for that specific car that he's building. And it's the same thing with the rivet counters. You know, they have a passion for whatever that subject matter is to become the experts. Okay. I think what's going on right now is we're confusing people that are being critical of someone's work and labeling them as rivet counters, which that is not rivet counting. You know what? That's just someone being an ass. Okay. Rivet counting is the subject matter experts. These are the guys that you can go and gain insight or reference from. You know, they're the ones that are going to tell you, hey, you know what, this shouldn't be this way, this shouldn't be that way. Perfect example, too, is Dr. Faust did the Fine Molds 1/44 scale Falcon. All right. Now, if you guys remember, he did an awesome series of build videos on that, but he altered some of the parts. Okay. Now, to me, that's rivet counting. I get the piece, I get the model. Hey, it looks awesome, but I think I can make it better because the actual model or studio model had these things coming in. All right. Now, that doesn't mean the guy's a rivet counter and you know, he's the plague of the model world. Okay. It just means he wants to do something better because he has a passion for it. And I think what's going on right now is that we are taking someone doing, you know, someone just being an ass and being critical of someone's work or someone's skill set and labeling them as rivet counters, but that is not rivet counting. That's just someone being an ass. Okay? The rivet counters are the ones that, by doing the things they did with companies such as Trumpeter, all the other companies have taken notice. Okay? They have driven the hobby to what it is today from the standpoint of putting out quality work, making sure that it's as accurate as possible, and driving a lot of these new kit companies coming out or improving some of the older ones to get to a new level. Now, were there companies that were putting out great kits and accurate kits prior to this thing happening with Trumpeter? Yes, there was. Okay, you know, to me, it's always been extremely good company. Hasegawa, you know, they've hit most of the marks, but they've been off on some. Okay, you know, yeah, TriMaster, but you know what? That was even way before that because they've been out of business and sold their molds a long time ago. But again, excuse me. Okay, this rivet counting process has driven or led to charge for all the kit manufacturers to kind of take a step back, all right, and say to themselves, hey, you know what, we just can't release this kit with different decals and call it this, all right. We have to do our R&D. We have to go do some research, okay. Now, part of that process has also included bringing on some of these rivet counters as consultants to these kit manufacturers, all right, to make sure they get it right, as well as sending the rivet counters the test shots of their tooling to make sure everything is looking the way it's supposed to look. Now, does it mean that they correct everything? No, but they're going through a process of trial and error to sit there and say, hey, look, should it look like this? Well, you know what? Let's call rivet counter Joe or rivet counter Robert, whatever, right? Hey, can you take a look at this and tell us what you think? Now, that person's going to come back and say, okay, this panel's off, these rivets shouldn't be here, this is that, you know, it shouldn't have this bump here. But again, it's that process that has evolved the hobby to what it is today from a standpoint of we got a ton of better kits. The expectation level that we have for companies to hit their mark on all the areas that they should is that much higher. Okay. Another example of rivet counting is going to be the evolution of weathering a model. Okay, because I can tell you right now, you know, 20 years ago there was no, you know, Rainmark, you know, things on the jar like the AK Interactive, MiG Productions. You know, there wasn't, you know, this is Russian dirt and this is Kursk dirt and this is your dirt from France or European dust and Africa dust. You know what? There was none of that. All right, it was just, I'm gonna put some brown, light brown, dark brown, you know, whatever. But if you take a look at what that has done in itself, okay, they are trying to take a full-scale model and duplicate it as much as possible onto the scale model, right? So they're taking full size, taking the pictures of it, seeing the streaks, seeing the rust, seeing the rain marks, seeing the dust, where's the mud collecting within the areas of the vehicle. And then when they take that and translate it into a scale model, all right, that's rivet counting, man. The whole process of trying to figure that out is rivet counting. Okay, so again, you know, that's just me trying to clarify it. Again, I'm not a rivet counter. Everyone's free to disagree with me. I have no issue with it whatsoever. If you know you want to unsubscribe, you know what, it is what it is. I'm a grown man. If you want to thumbs down the video, whatever. You know, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. In fact, you know, you give me a thumbs down, I'm gonna give you a sideways thumb, right? You know, but I just want to put that out there because I think we need to make sure that we do everything we can to keep our modeling circle within YouTube as strong as it is, because you know what, that's the least we can do. You know, there's some folks that are kind of dropping out for whatever reason. You know, some of it does allude to it's because some people being critical or, you know, rivet counting. But again, that's not rivet counting. You know, that's just someone being an ass. Okay, and when you take a look at what true rivet counting is, it's been an extreme help to this hobby. You know, these are the guys that are, you know, given the full-length, detailed articles on some of the kit reviews or builds that they do. You know, they have so much insight on that specific subject or that subject matter or that particular kit or those particular markings that, you know what, it's not bad. It's actually cool to, you know, hear that or to read it and see the work that someone puts into it. But, you know, to call someone that is being an ass a rivet counter, no. Now, can there be some rivet counters that are asses? Oh, of course, you know. But again, you know, this world is filled with asses, okay? You know, there's nothing you can do but, you know, like I said, you know, you want to, you know, give them the sideways thumb, then, you know, that's cool. Or better yet, you know, do a, you know, Silence of the Lambs, you know, shot right, you know, right in the face, Clarice. But again, you know, that's, I'm just joking. I'm just fucking around here. But again, that's really up to you, okay? You know, you can, you know, let those people kind of take away some of the passion that you have for this hobby. And, you know, there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing that other people can do about it. That's on the builder themselves, okay? But I think, you know, we're going through a point where, you know, I don't think that we should label folks that, you know, have a lot of insight on anything relating to this hobby as, you know, rivet counters. Or, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. We shouldn't let folks that we feel are being critical as rivet counters, okay? I think they're two distinct, you know, folks, right? You know, on one side you have these trolls that are jumping on everyone's YouTube channel and you know, writing all kinds of crap and, you know, trying to be critical of models. But in the end, again, you know, who do you build for? Do you build for them or do you build for yourself? And the fact that you're on YouTube is another example of the passion that you may have for this hobby, that you're willing to share your work with others. So, you know, that's why I do it. I don't do it because I'm looking for fame. You know, I'm not doing it because I want people to see what I build and try and get commission on it. You know what? I have a full-time job. I do what I do because I love doing it. It helps me escape, right, from the everyday life issues that we all go through. But, you know, I'm kind of going off into a different thing, but to get back to it, okay, you know, rivet counting is a critical piece of the hobby. I think it's there for a reason. It should always stay there. You know, there's a ton of people that can, you know, give you a lot of help and a lot of insight, which people will call them the rivet counters, but the you know, they're not bad. Okay, so I don't know if I've gone into a tangent or whatnot, but you know, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I had a couple of minutes to kill, and after hearing some of the stuff, I just want to make sure that a lot of folks that are on YouTube, you know what, don't be discouraged by assholes. You know, like I said, give them the Silence of the Lambs shots. Clarice. But sorry, I may have to edit that out. But again, you know what? In the face. No, I'm joking. Joking. But again, you know what? Do this for yourself. Do it for you. If you know a rivet counter, then you know what? Don't be negative about it. You know what? Talk to the guy. You'll be surprised how much you're going to learn about anything that you're doing or what they know and how quick they are to share it. Okay? So with that in mind, you know, this is it for this video. Take care, YouTube, and I'll catch you guys later.